The Monk trilogy, as it's unofficially known by fans, ended with a whimper with The Lie of the Land, which, like Extremis, squanders its ideas almost completely and has very little impact or consequence. The monks have been ruling the earth for 6 months now, and are using psychic signals to brainwash the populace into thinking they've always been here. Bill wants to defeat the monks, but it looks like the Doctor has joined them. The Lie of the Land starts great, with a bleak atmosphere and a desperate, poignant performance from Pearl Mackie as Bill, but then it goes downhill. Bill and Nardole sneak into the monks' offshore base and find the Doctor, but he coldly explains that he joined the monks to save humanity from its own self-destructive tendencies. It's a disturbing yet disarmingly rational monologue that Peter Capaldi sells with tremendous conviction. You wonder if the Doctor too has been brainwashed into supporting the monks, or if he does genuinely believe that imposing order through the monks' dominion is the best course of action. But it's kinda grim when a fake-out regeneration represents writer Toby Whithouse chickening out on his episode's fascinating implications. The whole sequence, in which the Doctor convinces Bill that he's joined the monks, Bill shoots him, he fakes a regeneration, and then reveals that it was all a ruse to ensure Bill wasn't under monk indoctrination, hinges on shallow shock factor. And while it does harken back to The Curse of Fenric, and the Seventh Doctor breaking Ace's faith in him to release Fenric's psychic hold on her, it still feels unnecessarily cruel toward Bill. The Lie of the Land's pacing is very slack, with the Doctor, Bill, Nardole, and the monk soldiers loyal to them very easily escaping the monk base and making their way to the university vault, where the Doctor consults Missy. Michelle Gomez is delightfully unhinged, witty, theatrical, and self-assured as always, but Missy's appearance in The Lie of the Land is redundant. Missy contributes nothing to the plot other than being a fun soundboard for ideas. I also really didn't like the counseling scene at the end, in which Missy expresses remorse at all the people she's killed. The Master can change and develop across incarnations, and he or she does have some extent of honor, but he or she is still the universe's greatest psychopath. The Master is a charismatic, megalomaniacal sadist, and may fight against another evil power, but only to enjoy a challenge or save his or her own skin. The Master does not turn good. Missy's, apparently, sincere intention to turn good feels terribly out of character. The raid on the monks' pyramid headquarters is quite suspenseful and has some eerily muted sound design, as the soldiers must breach the stronghold effectively deaf so that they can't hear the monks' indoctrinating signal, and I really like the visual effect of the monks' energy shields, which resembles shimmering cracks in ice. But the monks are basically defeated by the power of love. After the Doctor is unable to override the monk's brainwashing signal, Bill ultimately overrides the signal with a pure, positive memory of her late mother. Many Whovians derided the climax of The Last of the Time Lords for the John Sim Master essentially being defeated through prayer. I thought it was fine, personally. The 10th Doctor restores himself using the psychic energy of billions of people, basically the entire Earth's population and their unified faith in the Doctor, and focuses this energy by mentally tapping into the Archangel Network, a satellite array established in the previous episode. The Last of the Time Lords resolution does employ the old reset button trope, with the world rewinding by a year and the Master's despotic empire being erased in the process, but the people directly involved, the Doctor, Martha and her family, Lucy Saxon and so on, still bear the psychological scars of the year that never was. And the reset button is, again, well established earlier in the episode through the paradox machine keeping the altered present real. The Last of the Time Lords has, I think, a well-executed ending, but The Lie of the Land's ending, which is very reminiscent of the former episode, is far more contrived and sloppy. The memory of Bill's mother is presented through Series 10 as a source of comfort and security for Bill, and this episode has a very sweet, subdued scene of Bill having a conversation with an imagined version of her mother. Even so, Bill using the memory of her mother to break the monk's mental control over Earth somehow feels too general. A lot of people have a mother they cherish, so most people would have had an anchor with which to resist monk corruption. And since Bill never actually knew her mother, and is projecting an imagined version of her, a fiction in a way, the ending's notion of a pure, good, truthful memory bringing down monk control is undermined. The Lie of the Land does build slightly upon the monks' intriguing development in The Pyramid at the End of the World, with their 1984-esque rewriting of history to frame themselves as rulers and custodians of humanity throughout its entire history, but they have very little physical presence in this episode, and the ending wastes their immense creepy potential. As soon as their mental control over Earth is lifted, the monks turn tail and leave, and even erase their presence and intervention from our minds. Bill's mother saving the day was already kind of trite, but the monk's departure creates so many narrative holes. Sure, most people no longer remember the monks or their alterations to history, but this means that most people would have no memory of the past 6 months. And how could anyone account for how squalid and destitute the world has suddenly become, the labor camps popping up, or all the missing persons who were executed by the monks? The world should be in a state of horrified, uncomprehending turmoil, not blissful obliviousness. There is no sense of lasting consequence in the ending, which comes across as incredibly messy. The Lie of the Land, like Extremis, starts strong and has great performances, striking art direction, and unnerving atmosphere. But starting from the fake regeneration, everything quickly goes downhill into contrived sloppiness. This episode may actually be worse than Extremis, as Extremis has better pacing, and in hindsight, the fact of it not having much consequence is more acceptable, because of the episode's events taking place inside a simulation. Once again, I wish The Lie of the Land was better, as The Pyramid at the End of the World was so good, and Withouse's Under the Lake two-parter in Series 9 was excellent. But The Lie of the Land is just sloppy and disappointing, and earns 2 stars out of 5. Thanks for watching. Cheers.